What's up, guys? It's me, Mr. Wong. I'm over here at this lab over here. I'm trying to find out what is going on with the coronavirus because you guys have heard it's getting worse. So I'm over here trying to figure it out while I'm gonna upload a video. So bear with me. But anywho, here we go. I'm back. Just kidding. So first off, you guys did a really good job submitting the work. I had a few questions. Like Aiden, he didn't know how to submit, but it's okay. You figured it out. Thank goodness. Anybody else had problems in this class? Emily kept resubmitting. Some people are just commenting on the work and not actually submitting the work. Don't forget, you have to actually do work to get credit. You can't just type comments to your classmates or to me to get credit. Do not forget to do your work. Yeah. Also, when you are submitting your work, I know some of you guys are writing it down and taking pictures and then uploading a picture. You don't have to do that. You can just do it on a Google Doc and then submit the Google Doc to me if you'd like. But it's all up to you. Whatever's comfortable for you, you can still write it or you can put it in a Google Doc. Okay? So today we are going to talk about more Greek stuff. We're going to talk about Greek in the modern world. And we're going to talk about how Greek literature is present today. You guys are very familiar with it, but we'll talk about that. But first, we are going to review what we learned yesterday. So yesterday we talked about Homer and he was known for writing these two epic poems, and most of us know these poems already. We know the stories at least, so we know about the Trojan War. We know about how the Trojan War. If you're not familiar, it's that war where they snuck into the village of Troy with this huge wooden horse, and it was pretending to be like a gift, but the warriors were all hiding inside the horse, and when they put the horse into the kingdom, they all jumped out and they attacked. That was the Trojan War. He also wrote about the Odyssey, which was talking about Odysseus. Odysseus was this guy who had like one eye, but it was talking about his journey home from the Trojan War. Next, we talked about the lyrical poetry and how lyrical poetry is pretty much Greek music. It was poems put with music or with this thing called a lyre. So same how we have musical lyrics now that rhyme with music. It's the same thing, and it all started from the Greeks. The last thing we talked about was the fables, and the fables were short stories that taught us messages. For example, the tortoise and the hare, a boy cried wolf, and I think it was the ant and the grasshopper. So these are just stories that were told to go ahead and teach stories, while myths were just stories about gods and heroes. Okay? So you guys got that, and I think you guys did, for the most part, you guys got all the answers correct. Just don't forget to answer in complete sentences. Okay? So as we move on today, like I said, we are going to talk about how Greek literature lives in the modern day. So let's get to it. But before we start, just so I can show you guys how popular Greek literature is in the day, we're going to play a little game of trivia. I wish we were in the class to do it, but I'm just going to pretend. Okay? So number one, how many English words came from or come from the Greek language? Let's see. Raise your hand if you think it's A. Okay. Raise your hand for B. Raise your hand for C. And raise your hand for D. Perfect. Question number two. What percentage of English words come from the Greek language? Raise your hand if it's 13%, 24%, 33%, 17%. All right. The correct answer is A, 13%. Good job for those that you were raising your hands for the 13%. So yeah, 13% of the words actually come from the Greek language. Moving on to number three. How many letters is in the longest Greek word ever written? Is it A, 28 letters, B, 87 letters, C, 171 letters, or D, 203 letters? If you said C, 171 letters, that is correct. That is the word right there. Don't ask me to say it. Don't even ask me what it means because I have no idea. It just looks like a bunch of symbols. But that is the longest Greek word ever written. So I already told Miss Mendez to put that in your spelling menu, so let's see how many you guys get that correct on your next spelling test. So the works of ancient Greek writers such as Homer, Sappho, and Aesop are still alive and still really popular today. You guys know most of them. In fact, most of this stuff, like we saw in the trivia game, has influenced modern language, art, and all this stuff. And like I was telling you, you guys know a lot of these words. So a lot of the English words and expressions actually come from Greek and Greek mythology. And this is obvious. So for example, we'll just go through them. Odyssey. If you go on an Odyssey, that's Greek for long journey. You guys are all familiar with Titanic, the ship. So the Titanic was actually named after this strong, strong Titan warrior, a Greek warrior, and that's how they got the name of it. Because when they built this ship, it was supposed to be the strongest, the biggest, the baddest ship that they built, and it was named after a Greek god. Our government, we have a democracy, and this is what it means is power to the people. And we learned about the ancient Greek democracy, how everyone had a chance to vote. They had direct democracy, they had representative democracy. We got that from them. The word dinosaur. Dinosaur is actually a Greek word, and what it means is a bad lizard. So we think of dinosaurs as huge, huge, huge lizards. Actually, they were considered bad lizards according to the Greek. Galaxy, that's actually another Greek word, and it means Milky Way, and that's what we have. Like, we know the galaxy. That's actually a Greek word. And the last one is tele. Tele means distance. So anything that has the word tele, telephone, telegram, telegraph, any of those words are actually Greek because they're using the Greek root of tele, which means from a distance. So a lot of these words, you use them before, and it's kind of cool that's, sorry, just killed a bug. Ugh. It's kind of cool that you guys know that. So not only did Greek literature influence the language of English, but it also influenced artists for centuries, even to this day. So great painters and sculptors have used Greek gods, heroes, as models for their sculptures or for their works. Writers have retold ancient Greek stories, sometimes in modern times. Just think of like the movie makers. Movie makers have used this, really popular, and they have remade some things, such as like the movie Hercules. If you do have Disney Plus, please watch Hercules. We were supposed to watch it as a class. But if you have it, watch Hercules. If you haven't seen it, you'll realize that a lot of it is Greek mythology, and it's inspired by that. Another thing that you'll see that was inspired by the Greek culture, the school right down the street, the USC Trojans. They have the Colosseum where they play football. They have the Trojans named after the Trojans that fought in the Trojan War. This also has to do with Greeks and their culture. Also, the football team, the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are considered a Greek mythology because the Titans were seen as these powerful, powerful figures. And just like the football players, they're huge and powerful. They wanted to name their football team after these Greek gods. So a lot of the gods, a lot of the mythical references in pop culture you are very aware of. And maybe you didn't know it was Greek, but a lot of it is Greek. So just to go along with it, this is another how we use Greek mythology and how it is today. So for example, the Achilles was a great warrior. He was killed when an arrow was stuck in his heel. Today we know as Achilles' heel is someone's weak spot. Hercules was the strongest man on earth who completed 12 almost impossible tasks. When a person has a really hard job to do, it's called a Herculean task, meaning like it was a really difficult task for them to finish. A fox wanted to eat some grapes, but he couldn't reach the branch they were on, so he said that those grapes are probably sour anyway. When people pretend they don't want something, after they find out they can't have it, they also said to have sour grapes or have a sour face. King Midas was granted one wish by the god Dionysus, and so he wished that everything he touched was turned to gold. And this is something who seems to get rich easy is said to have the Midas touch. And then the last one, Tantalus was punished for offending the gods. He had to stand up to his chin in water and is always thirsty. But if he tried to drink the water, he went away. Something is tantalizing if you want it, but it's just such out of your reach. Just think of like you want that new game, but you just can't have it. It's just tantalizing. It's just out of your reach. So, as a quick review today, we learned that a lot of the things that we know in English, or a lot of things that we're inspired of, movies, language, sports teams, anything like that, a lot of it has to do with Greek mythology. And the reason why is because Greek literature was so popular uh, growing up and so popular amongst everybody that a lot of the things that they did had to relate to the Greek myths. So for homework, I want you guys to answer. Number one, how did the Greek myths influence later languages and arts? Two, why do you think Greek literature has been so influential throughout history? Three, why do you think mythological references are popular with sports teams and businesses today? One thing I forgot to mention is one other thing is why Greek history and Greek stories, they're so popular because they're just really entertaining. They're good stories. People love these myths and they loved hearing about war heroes and just strong people. So this is another reason why literature was so influential throughout history. But anyway, if you guys have any questions, please leave the comments. Also, please write them in Google Classroom. If you do not have any questions, um, then good luck with your homework. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.